One bullet. Summer 1914.
Nationalism burned. Slavs wanted freedom. Austria gripped Serbia. Armies grew. Dreadnoughts launched. War became destiny. Armies grew. Dreadnoughts launched. War became destiny.
Secret pacts locked Europe. One spark drags all.
Balkans boiled. Black Hand plotted. Austria planned war.
June 28, Franz Ferdinand arrives. Assassins wait. And with carriage pausing at intersection, tension in air. First strike fails. Princip hides, waiting. And with carriage, turning onto Franz Joseph Street, driver nods. 2 bullets, Archduke dies, world changes. And with urgent telegram runners racing toward Vienna. Air dead, Vienna demands war. Germany must agree. And with sealed notes sliding under Berlin door. July 5, Germany backs Austria fully. War looms. And with ultimatum draft sealing in Vienna.
10 demands. Serbia has 48 hours. Trap set. July 28. War declared. Russia stirs.
Tsar protects Slavs. Germany watches. And with German declaration scroll.
August 1. War on Russia. France next.
France remembers 1870, war declared. End, with Belgian map highlighted. Schlieffen Plan begins, Britain outraged. End with London Parliament doors opening. August 4, Britain honors treaty, World War. End with trenches being marked on maps. Ace to Channel, stalemate bites. End with symbolic gas cloud on horizon. Ypres 1915, new horror begins. End with Christmas lights flickering on map. Christmas 1914, enemies share light. End with 1915 offensive arrows on map. Churchill gambles, 250,000 lost. End with Zeppelin shadow over London map. Skies and seas burn. End with Verdun fortress outline. Bleed France white, 700,000 gone. End with Somme sunrise on calendar. July 1, 57,000 fall. End with Brusilov arrows sweeping east. East cracks, 1 million captured. End with U-boat routes on Atlantic chart. Unrestricted war. America protests. End with desert revolt map. Ottoman flank falls. End with French mutiny whispers on paper. Nivelle fails. France wavers. End with Wilson's speech draft. April 1917. America joins. End with Tsar abdication telegram. March 1917. Tsar falls. End with Kerensky provisional seal. Lenin seizes power. End with Brest-Litovsk treaty draft. March 1918. Last push. End with Amiens counter arrows. Tide turns. Germany breaks. End with Argonne Forest outline. Pershing drives. Armistice nears. End with Kaiser exile ship. November 9. Empire ends. End with Compiègne railcar. 11th hour. 16 million gone. End with victory parades on map. 9 million soldiers. 7 million civilians. End with League of Nations sketch. End all wars. America refuses. End with Versailles Hall mirrors. Guilt clause. Seeds planted. End with flu masks on crowd map. War's plague. 50 million vanish. End with women in factory blueprints. War work wins votes. End with ace pilot symbols in sky chart. Knights of Sky. 80 kills. End with tank blueprints evolving. End with symbolic gas cloud on horizon. End with propaganda posters on walls. Truth dies first. End with ration cards on table. Victory costs all. End with colonial troop symbols marching. Foreign king's blood. end with naval blockade lines. Hunger kills silently, end with Russian civil war flames on map. Revolution eats itself, end with Ottoman collapse map. Sick man dies, end with Habsburg dissolution decree. Dual monarchy gone, end with Weimar inflation chart. Peace brings ruin, end with fascist march symbols. Strong men rise, end with peace pact papers. Words on wind, end with 1929 crash ticker. Crash spreads, end with Spanish trenches on map. World War II preview, end with Munich agreement table. Peace for time, end with Panzer blueprints. Trench ghosts return, end with global map darkening. World War I births today's wars, end with radar ping on screen. War births progress, end with data art on canvas. Lost generation speaks, end with suffrage banners waving. Equality begins, end with union fists raised. Workers rise, end with scarred earth map. Land remembers, end with cenotaph silence. Lest we forget, end with Cold War divide. Alliances reborn, end with UN Charter. Imperfect peace, end with flags rising. Freedom late, end with human rights scroll. Dignity won, end with rocket launch. War tech reaches stars, end with code pulsing on screen. Trench codes birth web, end with warming Earth globe. Greed repeats history, end with youth march symbols. They learn. Will we? End with 1914 map cracking again. One bullet, endless echoes, your choice.